Do you remember when you were first married? Do you remember even the dating stages before you got married? Do you remember how inspired you were to get dressed up, to make yourself presentable, to say the right things, to act the right way? Do you remember how the butterflies were in your stomach when you were thinking about going out with this person? Many of us on this mating and dating have been married for a while, whether it's some people 2 years or almost 2 years, other people are going on 30. Do you still feel those butterflies? Do you still feel excited? Do you make the effort, not only on date night, but do you make the effort to look good, to feel good, to present well, to share like you used to share when you were going out or when you were first married? Do you lie in bed and tell each other your deepest, darkest secrets, or do you post them on Facebook in bed? Do you trust the person next to you? Are they even next to you? In my marriage counseling, I unfortunately see that so often as time goes on, so too distance is created. And that fire, that excitement that used to be there has gone, or is at a very, very low kindle. One of the reasons that I see behind this is because if you truthfully look at your husband or your wife today, are they as good looking as they were when you were dating? Are they presenting and being willing to give you the time they used to give you when you were dating? Are they being as truthful to you as they used to be? Are they making the effort? Now, human nature is to do that. What do I mean by that? Is to look at what they are not doing rather than what I am not doing. I often tell the story when speaking about marriage. It's a story in the Talmud, which is the wisdom of the sages over 2,000 years ago. And they tell the story as follows. It's a bit of a weird story, so just go with me. A man dies. And he's not such a good man, and so he ends up in a place that none of us want to end up, and that's a whole nother theological discussion that we're not going to have now. He ends up in a place down there that none of us want to be in. And he's showed around by the angels, and he sees a very, very scary thing. He sees people starving. He sees people that are skin and bones, even though this is a spiritual thing. They're skin and bones. And they're crying out in hunger. But then he sees something that is even more baffling. And that is that there are tables, banquets of food all around these people. The whole room is filled with food, but yet they're starving. And he can't work out why they're starving. If there's food, why are they crying out for the food? They should just eat it. And he realizes that there's a punishment going on. And the punishment is that the people cannot bend at the elbow. So they can take an amazing piece of fruit, but they can't get it in their own mouth. That's the curse. It's there, but they cannot take. It's very, very scary. The angel then takes him on a tour upstairs to the place that we would rather go when our life on this world is finished, is ended. And he sees again a beautiful hall, a beautiful room with a banquet of food. Food from here to there, more than anyone can eat. And he sees people sitting there laughing and satiated, eating. But yet he also sees that they can't bend their elbow. So why are these people able to eat? Why are they happy when they've got the same problem as the people that were downstairs? And then he realizes that the people have learnt that if I cannot feed myself, if I feed someone else, then they can feed me and we can both eat. How many of us are sitting there waiting for the other person to improve? How many of us are waiting for the other person to feed me, but we're not stepping forward and feeding them? Why? Well, because they're not what they were when I was married. This is something that I didn't expect, and they haven't gone on a diet, and they don't brush their teeth. Well, I hope that we brush our teeth. They don't look after themselves. He hasn't asked me out on a date night for months. She hasn't had sex with me in months. He or she spends too much money. They spend all the time with the kids. They don't spend any time with the kids. It goes on and on and on about what the problem is with that person, not with me. And no one wants to take the leadership and step forward and go, you know what, sweetie? I will feed you. I will provide for you. Let's see how that changes the whole environment. But so many people that I meet are sitting there like kids going, she doesn't, he doesn't, she doesn't, he doesn't. Make a change. Step forward, make a change. I want to share a Torah passage with you that I think is key to this concept. The concept that I'm also talking about is that we change. Very often, my wife and I say to each other, yes, there are certain core values that we are the same as we were 20 years ago when we met. But both of us are very different. We've gone about changes together and as individuals. In fact, my wife says that I get better with time, which I guess is a good thing. So I want to read a Torah passage, a biblical passage that can help us with this issue. So in Genesis, in Bereshit, we see that Abraham is spoken to by God, told to go on this journey. Sarah, his wife, goes with him. No questions asked. God spoke to me, we're going. And they go together. I'm not going into it now, but the words you can see, they go together. The souls that they made in Haran came with them. It wasn't a split family over here. All right, you bring your friends, and if your friends want to come, that's okay. No. They went together. It was joined. But then once they get there to the promised land, a disaster happens. The whole plan falls apart. There's a famine. This is the perfect time that I see couples fall apart and turn on each other. You said that you would be able to hold down the job, but you didn't. You said that you would be able to be that mother at home that we've always wanted, but you didn't. You said that you would be able to work out and stay fit. You said that you would always put makeup on for me. You said that you would not drink too much beer so that your stomach didn't get too big. You said, and you didn't. It fell apart. And now we're falling apart. But we see something very different in Abraham and Sarah. And by the way, if you are a man watching this and you don't share this with your wife, and the same thing, if you are the wife watching this and you are not sharing with this with the man, this newsletter is for both the husband and the wife, so that you can make changes and you can improve together. So when it's all falling apart and Abraham and Sarah have to go down to Egypt, they have to go down to Egypt. This was not part of the plan that God said would happen. They don't turn on each other. They're in the middle of the journey, and Abraham says the most beautiful thing to her, but it doesn't seem beautiful at first glance. We're talking about Bereshit, Genesis 12, verse 11. Vayihi ka'asher hikriv lavo Mitzrayma. And when they came close to Egypt, Vayomer el Sarai ishto, and he said to Sarah his wife, Hinena yadati, now I know, ki isha yafat mar'eat, that you are a very beautiful one. Actually, that's a bad translation. Ki isha yafa mar'eat, you are a beautiful woman. I didn't say very because in other places in the Bible it does say very, and there's a reason that it said very, but that's not what we're talking about. Ki isha yafa mar'eat. Now I know that you are a beautiful woman. Huh? What do you mean now? What do you mean now? What about for the past however many years? And how many ladies watching this would have turned to their husband and, what do you mean now? Didn't you know that I was beautiful? You married me as beautiful. Yeah, for sure. This is my interpretation. You don't have to take it. My interpretation is this, and I write it in my book, which one day we will publish. It says like this: now I know you are a beautiful woman, i.e., in this stage of our life, it is a perfect time for me to turn around and say, you're not beautiful. It's a perfect time for me to find the negative in you, in everyone that's with me, in God, in the situation. Have you ever had that time where you've had an amazing, wonderful time at the beach or an outing with your family? You're like, oh, wow, that was just such a special time. And then you get back to the car and it's been sitting in the sun and you're sandy because you've been on the beach. And you get into the car and it is so stifling hot that all of a sudden your mood 3 seconds ago of being so happy that you were at the beach now turns into, kids, just be quiet, I need to put on the air conditioning. Why isn't Google Maps working? Why do we own this car and the air conditioning takes so long to turn on? In the smallest thing that we don't have, all of a sudden our mood goes like this. I thought he was going to take me to this restaurant and it was closed. Why didn't he check? Why didn't he call? If this meant something to him, he should have called and found out if they were open. My goodness, they've been closed for a year. See, he hasn't taken me out for a date for a year. That's why he didn't know. What a husband. Bleh. How easy is it for us to let things fall apart? He said he was going to make this much on the job. He didn't make that much on the job. He needs to be more of a man and make more money, or vice versa. I said that I'd look after the kids so she could go out to work, and look, she's not bringing in the money. She's either got to give it up or not, or come back home. This is just disgusting. And she fall apart, fall apart, fall apart. But look what Abraham does. Now at this time when I'm schwitzy and hot and my hair is full of sand and my toes are full of sand, we've got no food and my dream of where God told me to go has now fallen apart. Sweetie, I want to know you're beautiful. I want you to know that I believe you are beautiful. A different beauty than you were yesterday. A different beauty today when things are falling apart that you were not when everything was perfect. When everything was perfect, you were a certain beauty. But now when everything is falling apart, I would not want to do this with anyone else. When our dream is falling apart, I want it to fall apart with you. I see a beauty in you being on this journey with me. You are the beauty. Change of dynamic, change of mindset. Speaking to your husband. Hey, thought you'd be able to hold down the job. But you know what? We're in this together. I know that you are a wise man. I know that you will learn from this mistake. And I know that you will lead this family to success. Hey, sweetie, I know that after 4, 5, 2, 1 children, it's really difficult to lose that weight. I want you to know you're beautiful to me. Thank you for having my children. That is a beauty that I see in you. That you are different after that pregnancy and birth, those pregnancies and those births. It's beautiful to me. So, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, let us take a real good look at ourselves and our marriages. In the difficult times, are we sitting there waiting for our spouse to feed us? Or will we step forward and feed them and set the new environment of giving rather than waiting to receive? And second of all, are we willing to be like Abraham? And in the most difficult times, instead of falling apart, use it as an amazing opportunity to see the beauty in each other. Physical, emotional, and spiritual beauty. Those tests are there while you're married for a reason. That same test when you were a single man or a single woman was something totally different. But I do believe that if you can find the beauty in each other during those difficult times, you will be able to get through those difficulties much better than if you stand there pointing a finger at each other. And if you can see the beauty in each other, you can also be led by each other. You can be taught by each other. You can be inspired by each other. That should be our blessing for this month.